Hello friends, on behalf of Adhikary Education in Assam exam, I welcome you all. Today's our video is about introduction of Assam's economy. So in most of the exam that is related to Assam, they may ask couple of questions from Assam economy. So we will try to give an overview of economy of the Assam. What is the state of economy of Assam? Okay, let's move. So what are the contents available in this program today? First we will see what is the overview, what is the status of Assam economy. Then we will see some statistics, some important statistics, very important. Then we will see all the main three sectors of the economy, that is the primary sectors, secondary sectors and tertiary sectors, or the service sectors of the Assam economy. Let's move. These are some of the current statistics. If we see that SDGP, here you can see SDGP is nothing but GDP of the state. So there it is called state gross domestic product. What is it? Like amount of service and the products produced in the state in the financial year is the SDGP. That is, for Assam it is coming around 2.58 lakh crore. So if we rank among all the states in order, then Assam will come in 19th position. If we know that Assam size, if we rank, it is around 14th position, but according to the economy of all the states, it comes in 19th position. So in our general view, we can say Assam's economy is not as big as its size, like not in proportion to the size. We are much lesser than what it should be according to the size. Then we will go see what is the growth rate. Generally we will say GDP growth, GDP, and this is for national income, GDP growth. For state we say SDGP growth. It is the state's GDP growth in state GDP, it is SDGP. So for Assam it is quite good, around 15% they are saying. That is mainly because when the rate percentage increases because of the low and raise rate in this base, because our actual base GDP is 2.58 lakh crore. So even a small amount of increase will give a very good percentage. That's why it is 15%. Unemployment is 4%. It is like at par with the national unemployment rate. Then you can see here public debt. Public debt is nothing but the amount of debt that government of Assam has taken from different sources. This is represented here as a percentage of GDP of the state. So if our GDP is 100%, the public debt is 19%. It is 19% of our state GDP is in the form of public debt. Then you can see here revenues. That is the revenue of the state. How much is the earning government is having, state government is having. This is like in the form of tax, cess, so many other things are there, fines, application fee, all those things, including everything. These are the earnings, resources for the government, which government can use for so many other activities. And this is the expense. You can say government is revenue is around 73,000 crore in this current year, but expense is around 85,000 crore. Expense is what? Expense is the expenditure government is doing in so many planned, non-planned activities, in so many welfare plan programs, all those things, whatever government is spending. This revenue and expenses details will be given in budget. Every year government will present some budget. Government will present a financial budget in generally February month. So in that statement, that budget document, revenue and expenses will be given in details. In expense, you can see expenses more around 86,000 crore, but revenue is 73,000 crore. So we can say our expense is more than our revenue. That means Assam government is spending more than what it is earning. So like that budget, when we make like that budget, like our spending is more than our earning, then we call it deficit budget. We will come to know it later also when we will go sector wise, when we will see some macroeconomic videos, then we will discuss about those things. But for now you can say Assam's expenditure is more than the revenue, so it is deficit budget. Assam is making deficit budget. It is not a good, maybe you can think that we are spending more than we are earning, but for a state, for a human being, individual human being, maybe it is bad, but for a state, because it is not very bad, because whatever they are spending for the good, for the general normal welfare of the people. Then we can see here agriculture sector contributes around 19% of the state's economy. That is, whatever is the GDP of the state, agriculture contribute 19% of the GDP. If GDP of the state is 100, agriculture contribute around 19%. Then industry makes around 22% of the GDP. State GDP here I am talking about. Service sector also have a very big contribution as compared to other two sectors. It is around 59-60% in the state GDP. That is because in India's overall India case also you will see almost similar case. Service sector will be contributing around 60%, agriculture contributes around 17%, and the rest around 20-something% will be contributed by industry sector. That is because service sector is much more costlier than other two things, so their earning will be more in proportionately percentage of state GDP, it will have a higher component in the state GDP. Okay, we'll move on now. We'll see some sectors particularly. Then again we have to see a little bit about the overview. Macroeconomy, if we see Assam as an macroeconomic view, the overview of Assam, we can say Assam is a poor state. But Assam, if we analyze the resources, economic resources that we have, we can say Assam is having some not very poor. It is having quite a number of resources. Then even after having so much good resources, natural resources, even after having all those things, our state is poor. So it is like a situation where we have so many resources, then also we are poor. That is why it is called juxtaposition of backwardness is there among plenty. Growth rate, why basically we are poor, why Assam's undevelopment persists here? That is because after since independence, Assam's growth rate has been regularly. Assam growth rate has been very low, around 3%, 4% like that GDP. India's growth rate also around up to 1980 it was like that, but after that it has taken it has increased its pace of development. GDP growth has increased 5%, 6% like that, and after 1990s GDP reform and liberalization, privatization and globalization reforms, India's GDP has grown in a very good rate, whereas Assam's GDP continued to be in a much more slower rate. And when one state's GDP will continue to be in a slower rate and India's GDP was increasingly getting higher rate, then what happened actually finally, ultimately the gap between Assam's development and India's development will be much more wider. That is why you can see now in most of the parameter Assam's development measurements will be poorer than overall India. So maybe during the time of independence it was not the case. It was maybe the reverse. Assam's earning was more than the overall India's earning. But now the situation has changed because Assam has continued to be developed in a much more lower rate than India's growth rate. So you can see here in 2014-15 Assam's per capita GDP was still around 60,000, whereas overall India's per capita GDP is around 88,000. So this is around 2014-15 data. If we see current data, maybe Assam's overall India's GDP has came around 1 lakh rupees. Assam's it might have increased by 5 or 8,000 rupees. So you can see the gap is there, and gap is not getting minimized, it is increasing day by day. Then you can see another thing, still Assam is largely based on most of the people working force is still working in agriculture. In India also it is same, but in India around 50% of the workforce is on agriculture, whereas in Assam more than 60% of the people still rely on agriculture. So that is one case. Here agriculture doesn't mean only rice and crops, all those things. Here agriculture includes tea estate also. So we know some large number of tea estates are there. Huge number of people are working in tea estates. That is why huge amount of population, working forces still are dependent on agriculture. So now you can relate. If we say agriculture, sometime we will have a misconception then that whether really Assam 63% people are working in agriculture. But yes, because agriculture include tea estate also, and we know huge lot of people are working in tea estate in Assam. Okay, then here is one thing, this is a fact. You can if at all some direct question comes, who was the first Assamese economist, or who was the first person who has genuinely started extensive research in the economy of Assam? So he was Bhavananda Deka. He was some principal of some college, I think. Then he has published one book also, Assamar Orthaniti. This is Economy of Assam. So this is just for a fodder. Maybe if some direct question comes sometime, otherwise you can know it. This is a good thing. Who was the first Assamese economist or economist from Assam who has extensively studied the economy of Assam? Then you can see recently, okay, these are the things that was happening, but recently, because government is trying to do so many things, trying to minimize the gap, trying to improve the growth rate of those states which are lagging behind. So government is taking some steps, including border trade center. They have set up some border trade center in 3-4 areas in Assam, so that it facilitates border between different states, border between different Assam and other countries like Bangladesh, Bhutan, all those things. So it has tried to facilitate. Then they have come up with development of infrastructure for industries, for all those things, in so many places. Another thing you might have heard, border huts in Tripura, in West Bengal, Assam, all those places. They are coming up with border huts. Border hut is nothing but some market near the international border, so that both seller and buyer from both the countries can come and meet at that market, so that more amount of transaction will happen, more amount of trade will happen, and more amount of trade will happen in between the country, which will finally ultimately benefit the people of the state. Okay, we'll move on. Now we will see the primary sector. Primary sector, agriculture is the main area in primary sector. Around 1/3 of the income, Assam's income comes from agriculture, and it employs around 63% of the total workforce that we have seen from the previous slide. Assam's biggest contribution, everyone knows, it is tea. Assam is known for tea and rhinoceros. Everyone knows. Outside world knows Assam only for tea and rhino. Mostly. Don't take me in other way, but mostly, yes, correct. Then Assam produces some of the very high quality, very good quality of tea. It produces quality as well as quantity also, because more than half of the India's tea production comes from Assam. India produces around 1200 million kgs. Assam produces more than half, and that 600 million kgs what Assam produces, this is equivalent to 15% of the global production. So it is yes, huge. A state like Assam, only a state is producing 15% of the global production, so that is a huge production, huge amount of quantity. Then another unique thing about the Assam tea is it is Assam's origin, native tea. Only other places in the world which is having their own native tea variety is China. And Assam native teas, what is the name? That one also sometime we should know it. Sometime they can ask. Camellia assamica. So that is it. And Assam tea is little different way. Assam tea generally is grown at a lower altitude. That is in a lower places, so that it will have some that melty earthy smell, soil smell of the soil, and little bit sweetness it will have. Darjeeling tea and all, those are grown at a very high altitude, and it doesn't have that flavor. That will have some different quality. Assam tea is having different quality. Then yes, some of you might have seen that in Ganeshpuri there is a tea auction center, a white building. So this is the largest tea auction center in the world. So this is basically for facilitating tea, to making the tea trade better. This is one thing. Then government has also came up with some special purpose tea fund. This is basically the government has created some tea fund to tackle the fund shortage, like capital shortage of tea growers. Some small tea growers are there in Assam. So many are there. They have working capital also. Sometimes they have like scarcity of working capital. So that fund government has made so that they can give some money to those people, those small plant growers, like tea plant growers, so that they can do their business as usual. Then one thing is like, other than tea, what are the things Assam produces? Other than tea, Assam produces rice, mustard, jute, potato, all those things, banana, papaya, arecanut, yes, a huge amount they produces. Then we know why actually so many things he produces, but then also there is a problem. Assam's agriculture is not developing. That is because some are artificial and some man-made, and some like developmental weakness is there, and some natural activities are there. That like flood, erosion, soil erosion, we know it. Huge amount of rain, sometimes drought will be there. There is less irrigation facility, lack of food processing and marketing. Like in so many interior places, roads will not be good, so farmers are not able to bring their produces in the market in the proper time. Then another thing is food processing industry is not developed. When food processing industry is not developed, what happens is most of the agricultural products are perishable products. That is, those products will get damaged. Those products you can keep it for a couple of days only outside, otherwise it will get damaged. So you have to process it. At least initially some processing has to be done to keep it safe, to make it so that it doesn't get spoiled. Because of that lacking of this food processing industry in Assam, maybe a huge amount of this food agricultural produce getting wasted. Even farmers are getting it produced, but they are not able to sell it on time, and it is getting spoiled. That is one reason, one of the main reason why agriculture is still underdeveloped, or why agriculture, those who are performing agriculture, why they are still poor. Then other than agriculture, what are some other things are also there in Assam, like fisheries are there, forestry is there, sericulture is there. Fishery, nothing, cultivation of like rearing of fish, because so many beels, like lowland lakes are there. So Assam is, some places in Assam they are doing fisheries activities. Then sericulture, that is actually that silk. So yes, silk is another important component, like product coming from Assam. Assam is making all the 4 types of silk, and in this making silk, mulberry is a kind of plant. People grows it, make it like a garden. Then some worm, they will rear some worm. Those worm will feed on those mulberry plant tree, this one leaves. Then those worms makes cocoon. They make some fiber, they release some fiber from their body, and actually those fibers are processed and made into silk. After this is the silk actually. So for doing those silk, producing silk also, they have to do sericulture. This is called sericulture. This like making garden of mulberry trees. This is sericulture, and making silk. This is sericulture. Then forestry. Forestry is basically making forest like that, like planting huge amount of trees, different types of trees, and then selling their products like timber, bamboo, all those things. This thing also like, and then some other fruits, citrus product, then chili. So this is another thing, another kind of like activities, agricultural activities. From here people are getting some like economic benefit. some income. Then we will move to secondary sector. Secondary sector basically what is it? It is manufacturing industries, those sector. Yes, if you have traveled some of the places in Assam, you might have seen other than those like Guwahati, nearby vicinity of Guwahati and some big cities, very less places you will find some industries and all in Assam. So you don't need to read books for those things. Simply you can say yes, agriculture industry is very less, like very poorly developed in Assam. We have seen generally tea processing industry is there. After plucking that tree, they will do some processing. Those industries will be there. Then another important industry which one is there is petroleum refinery. Some refineries there, so many refineries there. Other than that, there are not too many industries, kind of industries are there. They are because so many reasons are there. Tea industry is there because tea production happens there. Petroleum refineries are there because fortunately we have oil reservoirs and we have some oil production. That is why oil refineries are there. Other than this, there is no other major industries development because of first one you can say physical condition. Like physically we are far off from the mainland of India. Like we know we have to go to northeast through West Bengal, it has to go so far, then only it comes. Then transportation is not good, like it has to go so from mainland, anyone has to go to so far land to make some production. Raw material also, if it is not available in the region, it has to be carried from the mainland India. So it takes like huge amount of cost is involved in this one. Then another thing is political isolation. Till recently, most of the mainframe, like most of the most of the like other areas were ruled by generally local politicians, all those things. Local politicians and like who are the politician in power in central government or in Delhi, they don't have that much interest in the development and activities of those Assam and other northeast areas. So that is another, political will is less, and the people who are getting elected from Assam and our places, they also don't have that much willingness or that much capability to bring in some significant amount of industries and development work in the region. So that is one thing. Another thing is law and order. We all know just recently, now only you can say yes, there is no more insurgency and all those things. We don't find all those things. But 10 years back, 20 years back, huge amount. It was a huge problem. Like outsiders were scared of entering into Assam and a lot of things because of like law and order issue was there, Alpha and so many other insurgency group. Now yes, this has been tackled to a lot of extent. Then other than that, we don't have access to sea, so it is a landlocked, you can say. There is no other way, only way is train or trucks and all. You know trucks and all, how much time it takes. Train also takes time. The best way of like huge amount bulk transportation is sea. So, but Assam don't have any access to sea. So that is another reason why Assam's industry has not developed till now. Another natural reasons are there. Flood is there. Then we have earthquake is there. Then all those things. So cyclones will happen every time. Those things are the natural reason why like that area is not very stable. That is why like with cumulative effect of all the factors, our industry has not developed the way it should have been. Okay. Recently we can see some pharma companies are coming, some FMCG companies are coming on, all those things. Even now those Hindustan Liver, Fair and Lovely, Coca-Cola, all those things, Pepsi, so many things are getting produced in our Assam itself. So now gradually companies are going on because yes, they are finding situation also is improving, transportation also little bit improving, law and order also improved. Politicians like the government also willing to give them some incentive in so many other ways. Then another thing is market is growing, demand is growing, local people are getting like they are having more disposable income, they can buy more. So market is growing. So those producers, if they are producing locally, they don't need to incur a huge amount in transportation. Otherwise, if they are producing everything in the like West Bengal or some other place, then they have to put a lot of money for transportation of the goods to those northeast markets. So that is one reason why now recently these things industries are increasing. Another huge potentials are there. In future there is a huge potential in near future, not far off future. In near future itself there is a very huge potential for development of industries. You can hear like East India Company, Look East policy, Act East policy of government of India. Like government is trying to increase their trade and improve relation with Eastern those countries, Eastern Asian countries like Malaysia, Thailand, all those things, Burma, all those countries. They want to make a good relation, good trade, all those things. So when everything will materialize, it may materialize very soon, but when everything will materialize, then definitely our Assam will be in the middle, in the road. Like Assam should be crossed, then only all those things will come. Either anything going from India will cross Assam, or anything coming from outside to mainland India will come through our places. So Assam and all will be in the middle. By default, development and all those things will go up. Industry also will increase, everything will increase. So there is a huge prospect is there, huge prospect in near future term. Then Assam government has came up with some export promotion industrial park. That is like they are making some industrial facilities so that small company can make some product, and government is giving them incentive and in so many other ways to make products and to export them to other countries. So these are the facilities government is doing to improve the industrial situation in the state. Then they have set up some industrial estates, all those things. Like these are the things, infrastructure and all those things government is giving. Government has to give some facility to some incentive so that private companies can come and produce there and sell it locally, or outsource it, like export it to other countries. Like that only industry will grow. Then comes mining. What are the things we have in, like mineral we have in our Assam? One is coal is there in some areas. Another is oil, we know oil and natural gas. Another is limestone and sillimanite. Petroleum oil, we know like 2-3 companies are there. Oil India Limited is there, Assam Oil is there. So these are the companies. Because oil is there, they have started in those places. Still they are there and they are producing in a significant quantity. Historically, Assam's in deep oil, that oil was the second mechanically drilled oil in the whole world. Before that, only one such oil was like made working in US in some areas. So you can say historically it is very important. In long back in Assam, oil drilling was done, oil was successfully taken out. Now we have 4 refineries in our Assam. One is in Guwahati, Digboi, Numaligarh. Numaligarh is that NRL, Numaligarh Refinery Limited, and Bongaigaon. They have a capacity of this 7 million metric ton per annum. Then this Oil India is a very big PSU, and it is having headquarters in Duliajan, which is I think near Dibrugarh. So these are the because this company is there, they will have so many plants, so many other activities will be there. This will give so much income to the local people and employment also. So that's why industries are very much needed for overall development of the state and the region. Then if we see some other thing other than this, gravel, sand, all those things are there. Quarries are there, river quarries, those things also is there. So these are also comes under mining. Some other companies are there, because when oil company generate do the refinery, they make so many kind of product. Oil also different type of oil, diesel, petrol, then they take natural gas. Other than that, whatever is the residue, with those things also they make so many products, fertilizer, those like chemicals, so many these things will be there. So that some government and some other companies, they came up with some ideas of making some other ancillary, they call it ancillary, these industries, so that those industries can use the byproduct of oil refinery to make some this industrial product, like fertilizers and all. They are always fertilizers and all mostly made from byproduct of refineries. That's why recently that Brahmaputra Polymers and Crackers Limited has been commissioned, which is a joint venture of GAIL Oil is the Oil India Limited, and NRL Numaligarh Refinery Limited, and Government of Assam. I think GAIL is having 70% of the ownership, but still this company is going to make fertilizer from the byproduct of oil refineries. Then Macroeconomics Refinery and Petrochemical Limited is another company with, this is also having corporate office in Assam. So these are the companies that we have in Assam. Then comes handloom. Handloom is like small scale industry and textile industry. These are since ages, maybe since long time people are doing it. Native people are doing it. They are doing it small scale. Most of the people will be doing in their home with one or two people. Some places it can be little big, couple of more people will be accommodated. But normally it is in a small size production, home based production. So that it can sustain it will be just able to sustain their livelihood. It is not like big corporation. These are handloom, small industries, small scale industries. Maximum you can find those things in Barpeta district, Nagaon district, Kamrup districts, those districts. Basically, another advantage like externality, good positive effect of this handloom and textile industry in Assam is mostly those handloom works is being done by women. So whereas normally in society women don't have that earning capability. Okay, now it is there, but couple of years back women were like supposed to be doing non-economical activities, should be in house only, and only men will go and earn the livelihood. But in handloom activities and all, that situation is different, because women will be in house but they will be doing some economic activities for which they will earn some money. So ultimately they will have economic power and it will lead to their economic empowerment will be there, and they can be self-dependent. So this is like, this sector gives a very positive externality to the society. Socially it improves the society, that women will be more empowered, women will not be harassed by the husbands and all those things. Then another sector, last sector is tertiary sector. Tertiary sector is basically the service sector. Service, what are the things? We'll see. Then we have one, Assam government has came up with this Assam Tourism Development Corporation in 1998 government. Then this is basically to promote tourism in the region, because Assam is having so many places, actually awesome places, people doesn't know, or people are scared of going. That's why people are not visiting, or because it is too far. That's why people are not generally visiting, but it is having so much beautiful places. Those who are living there, those who went there, then they will know. So this Tourism Development Corporation and all, Assam government has came up with those things to improve, to encourage and to promote tourism in the region. Tourism is a kind of service that is like it has the potential to be one of the major economic activity in Assam, not only Assam, whole northeast. Then Government of Assam has recently released Tourism Policy of Assam, which will be effective from January 2018 to December 2022, which will provide industry status to the tourism sector. Tourism sector will not be only as a service, it will be considered as an industry sector. So that what will happen? So that some incentives what government is giving to the industries, those incentives will be applicable to the service sector also. those private companies or private operator, whoever are working in service sector, they will also get the benefit what the industries in Assam are getting from the government of Assam's. That was so, and they are also coming up with some brand like Awesome Assam to attract tourists. Basically, to attract tourists, they will be publishing those mass media, newspaper, magazine, all those things. Awesome Assam had, and recently they have appointed Priyanka Chopra also as an ambassador, brand ambassador. This is just to promote, just to like capture people. This is a kind of advertisement, just to promote the opportunities that is there in our state. Then, what are the potential to have kind of survey? In tourism also nowadays varieties of tourism are there. Ecotourism, like tourism, but it is a natural tourism. You go to all ecological places, natural park, like biodiversity park, then mountains, rivers, all those things. This is ecotourism. Then medical tourism. Medical tourism, what nowadays people do, they put some medical, like this hospital and all those things, but they will put it in those natural environment, so that patients will get admitted in those hospitals and all. They will get whatever regular medicines or medication and treatment should be done. They will get all those things. Beside that, they will have a very good ambient, natural ambient, which will you can improve their psychology, all those things. Then fresh air will be there, environment will be very fresh, not like in any city hospital and all. Then adventure tourism, you can see all those people who are energetic and all those young people who will go for this, all those bungee jumping and then trekking, all those things also can be developed in Assam. Then tea tourism potential. This is another concept because so many tea gardens are there. By mixing the tea gardens and tourism, maybe they can come up with some model of tea tourism. And tourists will go and see the tea estate gardens. They will experience the tea estate garden. Maybe small hut, they can hut or small home cottage they can make in tea estate itself. People will enjoy the environment, and ultimately it is earning for the local people. Then till now, basically most of the people, those whatever we talked, this ecotourism, medical tourism, adventure tourism, these are still, it didn't it didn't develop too much. But till now, most of the people, why they go basically for wildlife sanctuaries, all natural things, to see those national parks, wildlife sanctuary, all those things what we have. Another concept is cultural heritage. Government of India has also a couple of years back came up with some plan of Prasad, Hriday, all those concepts. Those are the programs to improve, to encourage cultural heritage, to encourage people to visit cultural heritage. This is kind of this tertiary, this service sector only. So Assam also has a lot of rich cultural heritage, and if government is able to do, they can also try to promote those cultural heritage. So many sites will be there, historical sites of Ahom dynasty, then so many historical sites, far old ancient history, like Kamakya temple, all those places. Then that Pawamokka in some places there. This so many all old things, they can combine cultural things, whatever is related to culture and religion, all those things, historical things, they can combine all those things. They can promote those tourism areas. Then recently, we have figured out 2014-15, where around 46 lakh tourists has went to Assam to visit. Though figure 46 lakh, it looks a bit big, but compared to other states like Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra and all those things, are actually most of the major people, they are the main tourist destination in India. This 46 lakh tourism in Assam is very low. That means Assam is having a huge prospect to improve this service sectors also. Thank you. That is for today. Then in the future videos we will deal in with one by one sector in deep. Thank you very much. Thank you.